Darlings, in just 7 days, I found $600 leaking out of my own pocket. And I didn't even feel it leaving. It wasn't a grand heist, my dear. It was 1,000 tiny, polite thefts. It's the same quiet drain I've seen in penthouses, where people check their bank accounts between courses, looking like they're solving a complex murder mystery. But I've never seen it in small apartments where the air feels lighter. I've realized that most people aren't struggling because they don't earn enough. They are struggling because they are trying to fund a performance for an audience that isn't even watching. Money doesn't stay with you by accident. The story of 2 lunches. I have 2 friends, my dear. Same city, same job, same income. We had lunch together not long ago. One of them arrived looking like a Christmas tree in July. Beautiful outfit, new handbag, a watch that probably has its own zip code, the whole performance. But halfway through lunch, she checked her phone. And I saw that look, that little flicker of stress, as if her bank account was a temperamental cat that might bite her at any moment. The other one? Simple outfit, high quality, but quiet. She ordered her wine without looking at the right side of the menu. No hesitation, no mental math. At one point, she laughed and said, "I haven't checked my bank account in weeks." She wasn't being careless. She was being free. Same income. Completely different experience of life. One of them sleeps like a baby. The other sleeps like a CFO during an audit. And I've been both women. Trust me, darling. The second one has better skin. The core problem. Your income doesn't fix your financial life. It magnifies it. If your habits are expensive, more money just makes them more expensive. Life doesn't get lighter just because the numbers grow. It just gets prettier. Same stress. With nicer furniture. Minimalism isn't about deprivation, darling. It's about clarity. Rule number 1, the double cost. Everything you buy, that costs money twice. Think of a large, ornate dresser. You pay for the wood, yes, but then you pay to house it. You pay for the square footage it occupies in your home. Rent that you pay every single month just so a piece of furniture can sit there. If you're in a major city, that dresser is costing you, $30 to $50 a year just in furniture rent? Then there's the filler. A dresser demands to be filled. It invites you to buy things you don't need, just to occupy the drawers. It demands cleaning, moving, and mental space. You didn't buy furniture. You bought a high-interest liability that charges you rent every day. The rich understand what things cost. After the purchase. Rule number 2, calculate cost per use. I once bought a designer juicer, $300. I used it twice. That's $150 per juice. Darling, that's not healthy living. That's a luxury event. You might as well drink liquid gold. Now compare that to a $1,500 mattress. You use it every night for 10 years. That is a brilliant investment. We often spend $200 on a dress for one gala, but complain about the price of high-quality shoes you'll wear 300 times a year. Stop funding a stranger's life, darling. Fund your own. Rule number 3, the replacement test. Ask yourself, if this disappeared tomorrow, would I buy it again with my own cash? If the answer is no, then that object is a ghost. We keep things because of who we were when we bought them. We're not keeping the gadget. We're keeping the memory of the hobby we thought we'd have. But darling, memories don't need closets. They don't require shelf space. Most of us are living in a museum of our past mistakes. We keep things because we feel guilty for the money we already spent. Keeping a $400 gadget you never use won't put the money back in your wallet. It just steals your peace. Selling it for $100 today isn't a loss. It's a gain of $100 and the end of a mistake. Rule number 4, beware the boredom tax. Your phone works, your car works, but you've had them for 2 years and the newness has evaporated. Upgrading just because you're bored is a tax you pay to marketing executives. Marketing is the art of making you feel dissatisfied with things that are perfectly fine. They cannot sell you contentment, so they sell you new. Wealth is lost in 1,000 tiny upgrades that you'll be bored with by next season. Rule number 5, define your own enough. The truly wealthy have a ceiling. They know exactly how much house they can enjoy before it becomes a prison of maintenance. Buying a car that goes 200 miles an hour when you only drive to the grocery store isn't an investment. It's a costume. And costumes are for children, darling. Define your ceiling. Why spend double to impress people you don't even like? Once you reach your ceiling, everything above it becomes noise. Noise that requires insurance, security, and mental space. Income doesn't make you rich. Limits do. The system. Rules are just suggestions, darling. Without the system, I used to find my own missing $600. You're just a minimalist with a wish list. And hope is not a financial strategy. First, the 7-day audit. Track every cent. This is how I found my own leaks. I discovered $15 for a streaming service I hadn't watched since the last decade. $40 in expedited shipping for things I didn't even want by the time they arrived. And $120 in impulsive little treats that only made me feel heavier. It adds up to a freedom-killing amount faster than you think. When I saw the total, I realized I was paying for a lifestyle I wasn't even enjoying. Now, I audit my life once a month like a detective at a crime scene. Second, the inventory of ghosts. Walk through your home. Anything that fails the replacement test is a thief. I once had a professional-grade espresso machine sitting on my counter. Beautiful, silver, and completely unused. It cost me $1,200, but every time I looked at it, it stole a little bit of my peace because I felt guilty for not being the espresso person I thought I'd be. I sold it for $400. I didn't lose $800, darling. I bought back my counter space and my dignity. Sell the ghosts, clear the stage so you can actually perform your own life. Third, the wait to be worthy rule. If a purchase is over $100, I wait 24 hours. If it's over $1,000, I wait a week. Most needs don't survive the night. They are just impulses dressed up in expensive suits. I once spent 3 days obsessing over a limited edition handbag. I convinced myself it was an investment. On day 4, the fever broke. I realized I didn't want the bag. I just wanted the feeling of being the woman who carried it. I kept the money, and honestly, the air felt a lot fresher that afternoon. Fourth, the cash-only experiment. For 1 week, leave your cards at home. Spend only physical cash for your daily whims. Swiping a piece of plastic feels like a magic trick. The money vanishes, but you don't feel the weight of it leaving. But handing over a crisp $50 bill for a mediocre lunch, that hurts just enough to make you think. When I started doing this, I realized I was spending 30% less simply because I could see the pile shrinking. It turns out, I'm a lot more rational when my fingers can feel the cost. Finally, decide what freedom looks like. A $5,000 handbag is a beautiful object, but if it requires you to check your balance before buying dinner, it's a very expensive cage. I've seen women in diamonds who are too afraid to quit a job they hate. That's not wealth. That's a decorated prison. Choose the dinner, choose the sleep, choose the peace. The less you need, the harder it becomes for money to control you. Richer in control, in freedom, in peace. Most people spend their lives building a cage they can't afford to leave. Don't. I suggest you learn to love the space instead.